Folks, sorry about that. Breaking news, this is Becky Williams, the Truth Stinger with Rage Against the Regime. I have breaking news update on the charges being filed against Cliven Bundy. Cliven Bundy, once again, has been taken into custody at 10:54 p.m. He was booked into the Multnomah County Jail, I believe is how you say that. He faces charges on conspiracy to interfere with a federal officer. He also faces a weapons charge. Ammon and Ryan currently sit in custody in the Herney County jail for their role in the January 2nd takeover of the refuge there in Burns, Oregon. Oddly enough, these charges that they have now taken Cliven Bundy into custody for stem from the Bundy standoff in 2014. This is the news that we are getting. This is the information that I'm being fed by Summer. Thank you, Summer, for the update and for your diligence and research. You're a godsend. Pardon me. So, I want to sum this up in brief for you, if I can possibly do that. I'm going to give glory to God because He gives me the discernment. I'm almost always 100% accurate in my assessment using the discernment that God gives me on the things that I report on. I report on them first, and I nail it to the wall. So I want to sum a few things up here for the listening audience, and I would love your feedback on this, by the way, because to me this is just this is investigative reporting. This is pardon me, CSI, breaking the web of mystery for the crime that is so heinous concerning this government against its people. But I want to sum up some of the players for you, one in particular. We're going to go back. I know you guys are sick of hearing about Blaine Cooper. He's a little shield. He's a government op. He's in hiding. He was at the refuge. He was the only one in the leadership there that did not receive a warrant. In fact, he received a personal phone call from an FBI agent shortly after Lavoie was murdered, and as soon as he got off the phone, he left the refuge. He was let go. He was, in my assumption, most likely because he was a shield. They said, "You can leave. We've killed him. Your job is done here. Get out." So he's hiding under a rock somewhere, and I hope some of the people that are looking for him find him. That's the most grievous act of treason that anyone can commit in this country, and that is to pretend to be a patriot, infiltrate us, and then participate in the murder by the government of an American citizen. Blaine Cooper, you're a piece of shit, and I hope they find you. I do. You deserve nothing less than to be found. But back to where I was headed with this. Okay, let's think about this. They're charging Cliven, and they've had opportunity for 2 years to charge him, okay? They're charging him. And I had some question, and I've had this conversation with many people. Why the Bundys? Why did they go all the way to Oregon for this? We know Blaine to be a very persuasive, talented con artist. He loves acting. He loves the limelight. He did his job well. He was an amazing one-man wrecking ball. And he managed, through the orchestrated video with McCain, where he read a scripted now, he was holding a piece of paper, lines that I'm sure he practiced over and over again until he got the inflection and his his point across to McCain in it. McCain looked flabbergasted, so I can't say that he knew it was coming, but I guarantee you that's what catapulted him into the Patriot movement. Nobody knew who this asshole was. Blaine Cooper is a con. He is a habitual criminal, violent criminal at that, and he should be under a jail cell with all the charges and the types of charges. And I know he has done some prison time. He even admitted that himself in a conversation. And we have a screenshot of that, by the way, that somebody put out on the internet where he said, I should have just stayed in prison. Now, that in itself, that one statement, I should have just stayed in prison, meant that he had an option. I don't know if you get that, but I believe the person that put that out was trying to say that. When Blaine Cooper made that statement, I should have stayed in prison, it implies that he had an option to be released or to stay. So Blaine Cooper, I believe, cut a deal with the feds. And they used him. I can't tell you why they did, but they did. I don't know if it's his pretty boy looks, the way he talked, the way he conned. I don't know what it was. I mean, he had larceny charges. He had several counts of assault with bodily injury, assault with a deadly weapon, evading arrest, kidnapping, minor in possession of alcohol. So his crimes go back, his record goes back to before he was of drinking age, because I believe that first charge, or that one charge it had to be when he was still minor, which means he could have been 20, 19, 18, who knows. But anyway, so he's got this friggin', I thought at one point it was 18, but somebody else pulled records for him nationally, not just out of Arizona, and it turned out it was like 30 different charges. I mean, this son of a bitch is a hardened criminal. I mean, he really is. And he's dangerous. The only one that committed a felony at that refuge was him. He physically attacked two individuals with bodily injury, sending one with a broken nose to the hospital. And the police department refused to arrest him. Now, I can understand not coming into the refuge, because that would have been a volatile situation. However, Blaine Cooper had the luxury, because a bunch of you dumbass patriots out there that thought he was the best thing since buttered toast, you fell into that bullshit. And I've been telling you for 2 years, he's bad juju, even before I knew his criminal record, and got attacked for it. You kept sending him money. This guy had so many GoFundMe accounts over the past 3 or 4 years that he made close to $1 million easily. At the minimum, I'm going to say $750,000, because he had so many of them. And he had so many of you idiots out there that worshipped him based on the way he told McCain off. So this is how he gets catapulted into the patriot community as some kind of friggin' hero, because he told McCain he should hang for treason, which, by the way, the feds have removed that video, because we could go back now and say, hey, look, that's so scripted, but he read it off of a piece of paper. So anybody that knows Blaine Cooper knows that he doesn't have enough common sense or intelligence to articulate his little speech off of that paper to McCain. We now know that. So here's what I think. After a conversation with the SEAL, after reading his letter, a retired Navy SEAL who happened to be at the BUNDY standoff with them, gave multiple warnings to Carol Bundy about Blaine Cooper, Buddha, and Ryan Payne. Now, those were the 3 top security people for the Bundys. Now, let's think about this. Blaine Cooper had a knack for being at the next biggest documentary, breaking news, patriot stand-up, standoff, whatever you want to call it. Wherever he was is where the action was. Now, I have to say this. I know people who have been in the patriot movement much longer than he and have been in leadership roles that didn't know where the next big thing was. Blaine created the next big thing, we find out, okay? By direction of the federal government, who orchestrates the incitement, Blaine Cooper wound up at the Bundy Ranch. None of us knew about the Bundys, but all of a sudden Blaine knows about this Bundy person having all these problems. Wasn't international news. Blaine Cooper's in, in Arizona. How did he know about the Bundys? Did they just reach out to him? I think not. So this Navy SEAL does his own intelligence assessment of the security team that he is there with at the Bundy Ranch. Upon leaving the Bundy Ranch, he reached out to Carol Bundy and he told her, these guys are bad guys. You know, you haven't vetted them, and he's trying to warn them, and they rebuke him. So there's the association leading up to the refuge. Now, who got everybody up to the refuge? We didn't know anything about it. Blaine Cooper. That's who. Blaine Cooper, Pete Santilli, and Ritzheimer. Video after video after video. Dramatizing the situation up there. Call to arms. Patriots, everybody get up here, just like they did at the mining thing, but apparently it didn't work as well up, on the mining situation up north that Blaine participated in as well. In fact, I believe they asked him to leave. Now, the Hammonds asked everyone to leave. They did not want their help. They didn't want to bring any trouble to their community. They had already been sentenced. They were going to jail. There was nothing anybody could do to assist them in any fashion, shape, or form. And here comes Blaine Cooper with his unsuspecting patriot brothers and sisters following him like he's the best thing since buttered toast. And as at the end of the day, one gentleman, Lavoy Finicum, lost his life. They are trying to push us into a civil war situation. The primaries are coming up. Obama does not want to leave. He's even joked about third term. And he's got idiots that follow him because they think he's black. Newsflash for all you black people. That bastard's as black as I am Chinese. He's Middle Eastern. You look at his facial features. They tried to get away with saying that was his mom. She was white and he's half caste. And, that explains why he doesn't look like a regular Negro. But he's Middle Eastern. He's not from Kenya. Everything about him is a lie. That was with purpose to misdirect us, okay? Whether you want to believe that or not, that's your business, but we've done our homework, okay? So here comes Blaine, called to arms. Now, I don't know if the Bundys called him for help and to run security for them, but I have to say this. I question the fact that they were already warned about the character of these three people, these individuals, Ryan Payne, Buddha, and Blaine. But they're all a little trio, and they're all operatives, and they all have a history, a criminal background. So, here we go. I would think that with the warning that you might check your security team out, I would think that the Bundys are a little more intelligent than that. Perhaps not. Because they did it twice with these boys, and now they are going to pay. The federal government is not a forgiving government. I believe the feds backed down in 2014 at the Bundy Ranch because it had too much national attention. They were on the Bundy's property, and too many patriots showed up armed, ready to fight. There was, I think, they estimated 2,000 people or something showed up. Now, after the Bundy standoff, we never heard anything. I don't know what the deal was with the BLM. I don't know what the forgiveness was on the grazing fees, millions of dollars they said the Bundys owed them. But I always have to question, everything. We must question everything. Motives, players. We are infiltrated. Blaine Cooper operated brilliantly by the playbook that we've all seen, that took the time to look at it, that was put out by an ex-FBI agent a couple of years ago, told us about how they operate with infiltration and what the objectives were and how to accomplish it. Pardon me. And this is how it works. Infiltrate, gain notoriety, trust, then you divide. And the way you divide is you take leaders who are having a positive impact, i.e. me and some of the others, because I've been attacked on multiple times, and including by Blaine Cooper. Blaine actually threatened to show up at my house. I wish that piece of shit would, because he'd leave in a toe tag. I'd be the last assault he attempted. But anyway, enough of that. So they get in, they infiltrate, they gain trust, notoriety, a big following, and then they destroy. And the way they do that is they attack the other leaders or persons by direction of the government that seem to be effective in organizing or informing the patriots of the true detriment and the situation we're in, and the truth about, the revealing truth about what we're facing, who we're facing, why we're facing them, and so on. So Blaine did this brilliantly. He had a lot of people, thousands that follow him, and fed him money. He never had a job, so to speak. But he always seemed to be traveling across the country, plane tickets at the last minute. He played it up real well. The police are surveying him and all kinds of bullshit. That was probably also staged. But at the end of the day, I believe, because of the way things happen at this roadblock, we talked about it. I believe that was a setup. Blaine Cooper was not in those cars that were going to the next county. He wasn't in that procession. Pardon me. Now, if you're going to meet with, you're part of the security team and you're a leader, why wasn't he in the cars? We have to question that. Well, I can tell you why. Because they knew it would be an ambush. He knew it was going to be an ambush. And he sent them out for the slaughter. The FBI did not only, and the mercs that were there, did not only kill Lavoie, they attempted to kill everybody in Lavoie's vehicle. It is but by prayer and the grace of God that those people escaped a bullet-riddled car. They peppered it, that SUV. They peppered it. I mean, you can see the muzzle fire in the video. How they all survived with only Ryan being shot in the shoulder is beyond me. It's a God deal. So, Ryan is back at camp. And I want to say Sean, but I can't remember who it was. His phone rings back at the refuge. And it's an FBI agent asking to speak to Blaine. This is after Lavoie's been murdered. And Blaine takes the call, goes outside, takes a call, gets in his SUV, and leaves immediately, and they let him go. Now, before they get to the point where they kill a boy, they have a roadblock set up, and they do they pull him over. And they actually shoot, from what I understand, at Lavoie's vehicle when they were pulled over initially. And that's why he took off. Okay? Ryan Payne gets out of the car at the first stop. And he surrenders immediately. Now, Ryan was driving Ammon's car, or his vehicle. And he insisted that he be the driver. Why? Well, we now know, but why would he do that? But he was insisting. So he pulls over for the pullover, and he gets out, and he puts his hands up, and he lets him cuff him. Pete Santilli gets out of that same vehicle, who we also know is an operative. He walks over to the police, and he's talking to the police department, or the police personnel, for 10, 15 minutes before they ever cuff him. Well, that's truly suspect, isn't it? I mean, that pretty much tells you what you need to know. Now, the FBI, police departments, they don't like to give up their informants, especially a good one. That's why they've let Blaine go. Blaine's toast. And Blaine's so stupid, he think he got away with something, but by not issuing a warrant for him, right? And by him thinking he's gotten away with something, and he's let go and everybody else is incarcerated, he's not a free man, he's a marked man. The FBI just signed his friggin' life away when they did that, because there's a lot of pissed off patriots out there that will have him for breakfast when they find him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, he's done. He didn't get away with shit, because that identified him to the patriot community as a shield. So I was questioning why everything went away with the Bundys, and why Blaine Cooper, Buddha, and Ryan Payne, and Shaughnessy, we can throw him in there, all the little musketeers still running security when all of them are very questionable. And I thought, you know, perhaps, and I'll just say this out loud, perhaps, you know, Eamon and Ryan went up on this Hammond thing, really couldn't do anything, and I kept saying, why Burns? And, you know, that's the wrong place to make your stand, right? And the Hammonds were going to jail. They, you know, there's nothing you can do for them. Why are you making your stand up there? Because our stand doesn't need to be made in Oregon and Texas. They're doing it here as well. The BLM, been harassing rancher down here. They do it all across the country. They've been doing it for years. More than 30 years they've been flooding them out of their farmland, or burning them out, you know, forcing them out, beating up ranchers and farmers and things of that nature, you know. This is going to be a continual fire out of control. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to stop just because you're making a stand in Oregon. Sure, you're going to get a little attention. But the mainstream media is controlled by the government. Period. That is a true fact. It's not propaganda. It is the truth. They report. See, the media is a form of mind control, if you will. They know exactly how we're going to respond to certain things that are reported in the news. They know how to instill fear. Let's just go, for instance, with the terrorism or the terrorist. so that we'll okay those wars that they're funding both sides of, because most of the people don't realize they're funding both sides of the war. And we truly believe, they want us to truly believe our soldiers are over there keeping it from American soil. Well, that's not true at all. We know why they do it. They do it. They've used our soldiers for years to change government. That's what they do. When they've got a head of a country who won't cooperate them concerning the cost of a barrel of oil, the IMF or the banksters, then they go in and they kill them. That's what they do. They go in and they remove the government, Gaddafi, Hussein. And they create this picture of monsters, they're killing their own people. They're using bioweapons on their own people. I mean, these players that are running the world government they're evil. You have to understand. They'll doctor pictures, create pictures. They murdered their own. They fund both sides of the war. And that's who Blaine Cooper, Shaughnessy, Buddha, Pete Santilli, and many others that walk among us, that's who they work for. They're spineless. They're cowards. They're criminals. And so they make a deal with them. So I questioned everything. So I questioned why the Bundys decided to make this stand in Oregon. That was suspect to me because the Hammonds had already lost their case. And that's not where you stand up against the BLM. There was no stand on the Hammonds' property. They took the refuge. Why? Because it will make national news and incite the Patriots. And Blaine Cooper was inciting the Patriots. He wanted to anger them all across America. And people like myself who report and some others, we called him out on his shit and caught a lot of flack for it, we told the truth. And people did not listen. And unfortunately, it cost somebody their life. I believe that LaVoy went there with a good heart and a pure heart. And he was a godly man. And he's a rancher not too far from there. Not too terribly far in another state, but not too far from there. And I believe he was there for the right reasons. I don't know how he got drawn in or brought in, but he was there. And I had a gentleman, this Navy SEAL, was invited to the private meeting with Blaine Cooper and a bunch of other, supposed patriots or leaders prior to the siege or the taking over of the refuge, whatever you want to call it, the occupation. So, this Navy SEAL declined to be a participant in this project, this patriotic movement. But what the media did, controlled by the government, is they demonized. They called them militants and white terrorists and extremists, because that is the narrative the government wanted the masses to believe that the patriots are. See, they have to discredit us. They have to cause doubt in the minds of people who are not knowledgeable, or the younger generations that have been brainwashed to think that socialism or communism is a much, much better way to be governed. They've accomplished that, and this has been years in the works. It's not just Obama's regime. He's the finisher. I like to call him the finisher. Well, I like to call him a lot of other things too, but what he truly is the finisher. He's been seated by the House of Saudi and the New World Order, the UN, and the banksters. He was groomed and seated for these days, and and we're watching him as a one-man wrecking ball completely destroy America and other nations. This guy is evil to the core, and I'd like nothing better than to see justice served to him. over and over and over again. In other words, on repeat. I'd like to see it videotaped. I would love to see justice through trial and punishment for his murderous, evil ways and the things that he's done. But that's a whole nother show. So here's what I think. I think the government taking these last 4 out of the refuge tonight, lying to them, and then I don't know who this was. It was live streaming Michelle Fiore. I don't believe she's a part of any kind of conspiracy by the government, but I do believe that live stream was sensationalized to create panic and anger in the people, because we have to think logically. If the FBI are going to go in and take these people out, they're going to cut communications. They left communications open so that there could be a live feed at that volatile moment. And about the same time that they took those individuals, or just maybe an hour before, they also took Cliven into custody. Now, what if the government said this to the Bundys? Your grazing fees and debt all go away. We're going to leave you alone. You get to keep your land and keep your cattle, and but you're going to have to help us do something that we're trying to accomplish up here in Burns. We just want you to make a stand. We're going to get old Blaine to pump it up. Ritzheimer to pump it up. Let's get it out there. And we'll make big news of it, because we need to do whatever with the Patriots. Okay? And so maybe, just maybe, that's what happened. And it all went south on them because the government is not a forgiving government. They're evil. They're Nazi bastards. They're worse than Hitler at this point. I mean, come on, man. They murder us and we don't do shit about it. And they're trying to get us to do something about it altogether, collectively. Right down to funding the genocide of whites in this country. And not punishing those for calling for the genocide, but rewarding them with forgiveness for debt, you know. And I'm talking about Ferry Khan and Al Sharptongue and the Black Panthers, you know, Shabazz and Williams, what's her name, Michelle Williams, getting away with all their shit. Daring us to rise up and fight back, dividing the nation like they do. So here comes Blaine Cooper. He starts pounding on me and some of the other leadership in the Patriot community that tell the truth and trying to discredit us. And then he sends his little weasels out that are following him to do the same thing. People, weasels like Bill Williamson, Top Fuel Bill. What a piece of shit. And, you know, now Glenn Estes doing the same thing, unwarranted, without provocation, you know, just go after them. And that is the handbook that the FBI uses. So my deduction is, even if the Bundys had made a deal with the feds to go up and participate in this orchestrated event up in Burns, they got duped because they're now all in custody. And what does that do? I'm not sure. I think he has 3 sons. I could be wrong. I haven't done my homework on that. But I believe that pretty much leaves the ranch, so to speak, or the farm, so to speak, with nothing but the women to labor and run it. And that gives free reign to default. So whether the Bundys were a participant by way of making a deal with federal government, or whether the feds just used them and then duped them to set them up to go and take them in, which is also a probability because the charges that are on Cliven right now are from 2014. And you can't tell me in 2 years they didn't have the means to either go to his ranch and arrest him or catch him off the ranch and arrest him. Why now? Why now? You always have to question everything. So I believe, what I believe based on the homework, the players, the events that have unfolded, and I'm betting I'm probably 90% or more correct on my assessment on this situation. They know that Clive and Bundy being arrested, Ryan and Eamon being arrested, Lavoy being murdered, and I believe they were trying to set the last four up for a heavy confrontation. The last four that remain there. But I also have to question the last four that remained. Why? Why? After Lavoy was killed, and they were given the opportunity to leave without arrest. Why did they stay? Why was it a live stream show? The FBI would have cut communications, in my opinion. Why? We always have to ask why. So don't be quick to jump to conclusions and let the feds trap us into a civil war situation with a violent response on what's just happened. I'm not telling you to stand down and let the government stomp on us. I'm not saying that at all, but what I am saying is be intelligent. Don't be irrational. We're trying to find a resolution, not a revolution, although it looks like they're pointing us or pushing us further and further in that direction. And at some point, we're either gonna bend or we're gonna break, and they know we're at that point. So I believe that they're trying to use this to do that, and so I'm making every effort to do my part as a watchman. I feel my position has been given to me by God, the platform, the notoriety. It's taken a lot to get to a point where people listen to me, and many people in many nations. And so they're watching us around the world. They're watching to see how we're going to react. And I also want to bring something else up that has nothing to do with any of this. It's just come to my attention via the news that another black individual in Oklahoma City has beheaded his grandmother and her husband in their home. He is in custody on 2 charges of murder, first degree. Of course, if he is Muslim, they're not going to tell us, but that pretty much points to Islam. So we can assume, and that's all we can do, we can speculate, that he is probably a Muslim. And if indeed we find out he is, if they go ahead and give us that information, this will be the second time that we have seen beheadings in Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma. That's very concerning. So keep your eye on what's going on in Oklahoma. Pray for the family that lost those loved ones. The 3 minor children that were in that house were unharmed. The grandmother ran a daycare. So, again, prayers out to that family. Question everything, people. Try to put this all together because they are directly connected. The players are all the same. Pardon me, we have to question why. We have to question everything. Why did the last 4 stay? Why was it so sensationalized? Why the live stream radio communication should have been cut through that phone contact, but it wasn't. Question everything. I'm going to let you go. This has been a little bit lengthy and probably choppy here and there. Nothing is scripted. I'm just trying to remember things and go off the top of my head. It is after 2 in the morning, so I'm a little bit fatigued. It's almost 3 a.m. I've been up a long time now. You guys stay vigilant. Please, I'm going to ask you to do something. I need you to vet your leadership, including me. It doesn't matter. Vet your leadership before you follow them into a situation like Burns, Oregon, or the Bundy standoff, or any march on Washington, anything and everything. I need you to question. I need you to be vigilant. This is a nasty little demonic, barbaric game that the oligarchy is playing, and they have got us outnumbered. They have us outnumbered by invasion, by infiltration, and they have militarized and brainwashed your law enforcement, the FBI, at every level, even the sheriffs. Sheriff Ward is a prime example. The governors, we're surrounded, okay, and they're not our friends. They'll do whatever they have to do to eliminate us, and even if it means pushing us into a civil situation. So vet the people that you're following. You see another sensation, overnight sensation like Blaine Cooper come on the scene. He's probably going to be Blaine's replacement, or she'll be Blaine's replacement. And you need to question who they are and what they're doing. And don't be so quick to throw your money to a GoFundMe project. Blaine Cooper lived the life of a rich man because of all you people who were stupid enough, I said it, stupid enough, to follow this drama queen into the battle. And you gave him some great toys and a life of luxury. While I know you did it out of the goodness of your heart, I'm sure, and you probably sacrificed many things from your own family in order to fund his good life, and his travels and his expensive hotels and their binges on alcohol and drugs. And yes, Blaine Cooper is a drug addict. He is an addict. So you afforded him a really good time for the past 3 or 4 years, and now his ride is over. Please be careful, be mindful. It's a minefield out there. For those of you who've been following the Paul Revere March to Washington, be careful. Glenn Estes has now turned it into something else, and he's got a fundraiser up. That's what they always do, throw a fundraiser up. Glenn Estes is a deadly and dangerous man. I believe he's a shield operating for the government. He made, personally to me, on the phone, told me that if anybody marched on Washington with arms, that he would fight to defend Washington, D.C. and its criminals, its tyrants, and he would kill patriots, is what he said. So be mindful of who you're following. This is a guy who is once again trying to organize March on Washington for redress, but he is not your friend. He's never read the Constitution or Bill of Rights. I asked him specifically if he had read the Second Amendment and understood what it meant, what it was originally for, so that we'd never be ruled over by a tyrannical government. We had the right to remove them if, in fact, they became treasonous. And, we didn't see eye to eye. I told him that, well, brother, then you're going to be fighting against me because that's just bullshit. And so I cut him off at that point. I blocked him and bowed out from the public relations position to try to fix what Glenn Estes caused, Charles Wade's death. He called the FBI on him. He alienated him by lying and embellishing, saying that Charles said he was going to kill 100,000 patriots and buying explosives and setting off this and that when he got to Washington. And one thing led to another, and Charles wound up dead that day. Question everything. And Glenn Estes is... he's a dangerous, dangerous person. So I'm going to let you guys go, let you chew on that. If I get any more breaking information, I'll do another show. Be careful. And please, please do not resort to violence if we can avoid that. I don't believe this nation is ready for it. I don't think you have your families prepared for such an event. Pardon me, I don't care how well you've been preparing. We've never been to war like the soldiers have, so you're really not as prepared as you think you are. And you keep in mind that your children will be exposed to some of the most horrific, they're just going to be horrified by war. We'll have casualties. Children will die. Parents will die in front of their children, and we want to avoid that situation if we can. May God keep each and every one of you. I pray for a hedge of protection around this great nation. I pray that God smites our enemies. And for the FBI agents that participated in what has been done to the Patriots, may God have mercy on your soul, because you are soulless. This is a true stinger. I'm out.